Hey everyone, I'm not Mark and he's not Gonto, and welcome to today's Halloween edition of our DM Inspiration. Okay. Alright, Mark. Today we wanted to talk about some things that may be a little bit spooky since it's that time of year. I know that we are getting close to Halloween by the time this video comes out, and we wanted to take some classic slasher movie, scary movie figures that almost everyone's heard about, and take them and pull them into our D&D game. And so I know you worked really hard on this, on coming up with some of the stats and everything else that would flesh them out, and also how would that story translate into a D&D world. So the first one we wanted to talk about was Chucky, one of the scariest ones ever.
Yeah, so in order to kind of make it fit the lore, basically, as everyone knows, Chucky was a serial killer, and he...
Aren't they all?
Yeah, they are. That's true, kind of. He was a serial killer. He got kind of trapped in a bad situation, looked like he had imminent death, and he was really desperate to try to survive, and that's he quickly grabbed a doll, and because of his voodoo background, he was able to project his soul into a doll. So it wasn't ideal for him. It's not really wanted to have happen, but he did, and he made it happen, and it worked okay. But consequently, this is why we have a killer doll trying to chase everybody around, because he's stuck. And the more time he spends in that doll, the more it becomes the doll. So it's become almost inseparable to him. So in order to make that fit in the D&D world, I changed some things up, which he's actually being chased for, because of his necromancy skills, he was being chased by an order of paladins that had chased him down. They tracked him down cornered him into a toy maker shop. And kind of the rest is kind of very similar to he projected himself into this doll. And
so what is the natural fear of dolls? They're used in movies all over, right?
Yeah.
Scary movies. And I guess the reason I and most people are kind of creeped out by a doll being animated in some ways is because they're so small, or so they're so their ability to sneak around. You can hear the
pitter patter and all this. And the creepy. And with Chucky, he's like a doll, a toy doll. And the flip, I think it's too. It's the flipping. Like he can go from looking like an ordinary cute doll
that's
to
true.
Something absolutely horrible. Is the juxtaposition and really mean, nasty man. Serial killer and a toy doll. Those two are very big contrast. So he's in the movie, obviously he swears a lot and things like that. But our version, he may or not, depending on how you play him in your game. That would depend on your DM, I suppose. So basically, I kind of took a stat block and looked at some things. Basically in Chucky the movie's history, and how does that translate to the game? So basically, just to hit some of the high points, he vulnerable to fire, and we've seen that in some of the movies that he did. That seems to affect him. Immune to poison. He's a doll, really, so it doesn't really bother him. Damage resistances to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical weapons, and he's immune to charm, exhaustion, frighten, paralyze, poison. So he's pretty nasty to try to take down. He's really, I think that my thinking too is he's so dexterous because he is so small. It's hard to hit, and he's
like a small halfling, even smaller than that sometimes.
Right. And I actually upped his speed a bit. Not up it, but kept it as a normal sized person, because even though he's small, normally halflings have 20 feet. But in his case, he runs pretty fast. So I'm like, he's got to be at least, he keeps up with normal sized people. So I kept that at 30 feet anyway. So he's at least.
So his legs are really moving fast.
Exactly. It's like, so there's that. But also, as you mentioned, because of his small size, he can hide, and he wants to do this. He wants to hide in the shadows. If you remember in the Chucky movies, he didn't really come face head on. He knows he's small, but prefer to drop down on somebody, set traps. He's actually pretty smart. So he does all those things. He sticks to what works for him. So
I noticed you gave him Vicious Mockery, the bard. And he can cast it as a 5th level spell.
If you remember in the movie, he's wisecracked quite a bit and stuff, and said things like that. And
scare people just by his demeanor and
Absolutely.
the things he says.
Yeah, he seems to feed on that pretty much. So
psychic damage, that's awesome.
Right, and then also he has an ability where he can just look like a normal doll, and that's one thing that's nice nice about it. He can just kind of blend in with a whole stack of dolls, or if he finds himself in a kid's room or something, he just poses a doll. Oh, look, there's nothing there. It's just a doll.
So pulling him into a D&D campaign is as easy as, like you said, a big toy store or something where the characters are at, or a kid's room or something, and one of the dolls pops up.
Right.
And I know that I went through a
adventure.
No, what do you call it? A haunted house.
Oh, yeah.
And the scariest part of the whole thing, we had everything jumping at us, no problem.
Yeah.
We walk into a room and there's thousands of stuffed animals and dolls all around the room. And I wasn't prepared for it, but a small person was dressed up as Chucky.
Yeah.
One of the dolls stood up and started chasing us, and we took off. And it was
good.
I mean, this was years ago, like
right.
2 years ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah, a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
When we were little.
Well, cool.
Yeah, so just a quick plug for them. They don't sponsor us in any way yet, anyway. DM's Guild has a great adventure called The Haunting.
Okay.
I highly recommend it, and it features a creepy doll.
I think that's been downloaded a lot of times this month.
Yeah, I'm sure this is a good time of year.
Yeah.
But you could drop in place of the doll. You could amp it up by dropping the Chucky version. Yeah. So just that would be an idea. We'll have it in the description. FYI, we'll have it in the description. The documents we're looking at, these are works in progress. Feel free to adapt these and use them in your game however you want. And that's what we're referring to right now. And tweak them if you want. They're works in progress. They're not balanced in any way. This was just a one pass over, trying to make it look like it would in the movie, just the best we could. So, but feel free to download them. They're free to download.
All right.
So what do you have, Gonzo?
So my favorite in those movies was Michael Myers from Halloween, the actual movie Halloween. So we put him into D&D. His lore is pretty basic. He was a young guy who just had a psychotic breakdown and
like all
decided to
perfectly normal
kill his sister and went into a mental hospital, and that started him into a world of destroying other people. And it's not very clever on that end. They just kind of said he was crazy and
low budget.
low budget.
Right.
But it was actually a really creepy movie the way they hit him, and that's what I liked about it, was the way that they used him as an unstoppable tank, and that's how you designed his character. Some of the things you gave him was his immunities to damage.
Yeah.
Because it didn't matter if you've ever seen any clips of the movie or anything. It didn't matter what happened to him, a stab, a hit, knocked out the window, shot, fire.
Right.
You look out the window that you just knocked him and shot him out, and he's back. He's gone. And I love that you gave him, one of the things you gave him was shadow step, because this happens in all scary movies.
Yes.
But the bad guy falls down, or no, worse, you're running from the bad guy, and you see somebody running at full blast, and the scary guys are just walking. And yet, as soon as that person trips, they're right behind you.
Yeah, there you go.
So you gave them shadow step to signify that, they don't really need to run to chase after somebody. They just appear when they need to. And I love that, not just for the thematics, but I thought that was funny. Yeah. You also put a funny thing in there because of his, whatever reason he killed his sister. I guess they had a family squabble, but if someone in the party resembles his sister, with medium build and brown or black hair, then he gains 40 feet walking speed and gets 2 attacks per round, and you'll hunt her down until she's dead or he's dead.
Yeah.
And with all his immunities, that would be so. Take
challenge.
Care of the. You've got it. If you have a player character in your group that has brown hair, then you just got to tie it in somehow. It'd be awesome. Right. What else did we give him that we liked? We liked the improvised weapon attack, where he's able to, if he doesn't have a long sword or something, he can just pick up anything and make it a weapon, and he still gets his damage for that, and his slasher attack. But and I like also languages. If you know anything about Mike Myers, he never says one word. You've never heard him say a word.
Right.
And so his language is common, but he doesn't speak.
Exactly.
So maybe he speaks Draconic, and maybe he speaks Goblin and all that in your game, but he doesn't speak.
Yeah.
And sometimes that actually makes things, when you don't know why something evil is evil or why something bad is bad, that can be more scary than anything. And I think that was the theme behind Mike Myers. Is there's really no explanation. It's just evil.
No compassion. no amount of begging, no matter anything.
It's just does what it does and keeps
like
going. It's the ultimate killing tank.
Yeah.
So I liked it for that. I think it was a great improvisation on this. And also, like you mentioned, each of these PDFs are made in a way where you can take them and expound on them the way you would like for your game and what you're doing. So I like that you scaled them down to a point where they're not like 20th level characters and have everything. These are more malleable in a way where anybody can take them and you can use the bones of this and then make it what works for you. So, all right. So what was the last one that we wanted to cover?
All right, let's save my favorite
for our spooky Halloween.
Last, yeah. So Pennywise, which is the clown form of it. I'm a big Stephen King fan, and I grew up. That might explain a lot. I grew up reading Stephen King, so that might explain. But Pennywise, really, I started thinking about what he essentially is a vampire of an alien nature. He feeds on he feeds on.
Spoiler alert.
He feeds on kids, but anybody really. But he likes kids, and he likes because he can frighten them. And the frightening actually makes them taste better. Is kind of in his mind. So, so I know, really rough. But really, he can change into anything that scares you. So as I was trying to make this, I'm like, one, he's undead because he can't. He's like basically unkillable, more or less. But a changeling. So I kind of used a new. Okay. One of the new races, actually, a changeling, so that he has some features where he can change his appearance at will, pretty much. So things like unsettling visage, when he gets when a creature Pennywise can see makes an attack roll against him, he can use his reaction to impose or disadvantage on this roll because he can just change his appearance and be very unsettling, scary. He's got a lot of immunities and resistance and all that as well. He's hard to kill. He can change his appearance. He can appear like anybody. And as I talk about in the tactics, that's kind of his MO, is that he likes to appear as somebody maybe you trust. And so you think about if you're going to use them as a DM, then maybe there's some trusted NPCs that they've got to know. It would not be unlike him to appear as that person and even go with them a while. Because he really wants to split the party whenever he can. Right. So he's an opportunist.
Get them alone and then focus on their single fear, whatever their greatest fear is.
Absolutely. Exactly. And he'll pick them off one at a time if he can. Yeah. So he's patient. Another idea would be that even when they're engaged, he goes with them a long game, he's with them, but he waits until an opportunity, like where they're in battle. They're battling somewhere else. Yeah, he's
a patient hunter.
So he's waiting till, because you figure if they're already battling something else, and it could be something small even, nothing really, this is easy, we'll take this, and as they're fighting it, then he uses his opportunity to present really become something else, and attack the party at that point. Usually picking off one or two, but at the end of the day, he has to feed one way or the other. He would like to wait and feed off their fear and amp them up and get him more fearful because it tastes better and all that to him. But at the end of the day, if he sees an opportunity, any predator waits for an opportunity to find their prey when it's the most weak, then that's probably when he would pick the strike. So.
Right.
But that's Pennywise, and I think that's pretty much...
That's great.
What do you think there, Gonzo?
Well, I think we'd like to hear from you guys. It is Halloween time, and a lot of videos are being done about spooky things that you can cover and put into your D&D game. We'd like to hear your comments under the comment section below of things that you would put in, or maybe even something that's newer that we haven't heard from before, where you could do that. Also, if you like our videos, please hit the like button. That lets us know that we're doing a good job. And then subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. We have quite a few viewers, and our subscribing list is getting bigger and bigger. But if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, what it does for us is it lets us know how many people are willing and waiting for our next video, and it's really great for the growth of this channel.
And a shout out to Rivers, one of our longtime subscribers.
Rivers RPG, he comments on every one of our videos. We love that guy. Also, go check out his channel. He does some videos as well. So check him out.
Absolutely. All right, I think that's all we have time for today, Gonzo.
I think so.
And with that,
class dismissed.